What weird thing does your body do that you just accept? When I work morning shift I have to wake up at 4:15. So if my brain let me sleep, it gets some 6 hours of rest. However, it usually takes me TW hours to fall asleep, and even then I wake up 2 or 3 times in the night because I'm terribly anxious of sleeping in. I think I don't reach the deep sleep phase most nights. One Saturday I was taking a nap after work, and when I woke up I literally jumped out of bed because I thought I had missed work, even though my shift had actually already ended. Morning shift fucking messes me up. If I yawn and have a big stretch I nearly pass out, and have since I was a kid. I'm sure it's something really simple and obvious, but I've never bothered to get it checked out. When I stretch I think my blood pressure skyrockets or something, and I feel wobbly. Even though I'm not, then I stop recognizing everything. Like I still see it, I just don't know what it is anymore. Then I collapse and feel like I'm shaking violently. Since I can trigger it at will, I did some testing and practice when I was younger. I learned to recognize it in the first second or so that way I can lower myself into a chair or onto the floor safely. And once it feels how I imagine a full body seizure feels, I know that I'm not actually moving at all, because I had my brother and mom watch me a few times during the testing. My best guess is it's something to do with my blood pressure, because when I do a big stretch I clench up and feel my blood pressure spike in my face and head, and that's half of the combination required to trigger it. The other half is stretching backwards with my arms extended. Just spiking my blood pressure or stretching backwards with my arms extended doesn't do it, and no two other combinations worked. It sucks sometimes, because while I can do it whenever I want, I have neurological issues that make me have phantom feelings. For instance, the last 2 days I've had a burning sensation, like if I rested a hot soup bowl on my thigh, but there's nothing there. It can feel like little bug bites, scratches or streaky burns. It's never severe, mostly just weird to feel a distinct sensation for no reason. Sometimes I'll ask a family member to check for marks. The other day I pulled up my shirt, turned around and asked my mom if there was anything on my back. She was like, "Oh my goodness, there is. Looks like one of the cats got you." And we were both so weirdly delighted I'd actually been mauled, lol. I have exploding head syndrome, which is a lot scarier sounding than it actually is. A sleep phase disorder. Basically, when I'm falling asleep I occasionally hear random phantom noises that startle me back awake. For me, I most commonly hear someone shouting my name, an unintelligible brief yell, knocking on the door, or the doorbell. I've noticed over the years that it tends to happen mostly when I'm overtired and or anxious, and I may not have one for months, and then have them every other day for a week. I was born with a disorder that makes crossover motion between both sides of my body more challenging. Riding a bike took me a year to master. For context, the hardest thing for me to do autopilot is stairs, though. If I don't think about it, my body automatically goes one at a time with both feet rather than alternating. I only poop every 3 to 4 days on average. It's been like this regardless of dietary changes for my entire life. I've had it checked out, nothing wrong with me, just don't poop often. Longest I went without pooping was 8 days at 12 years old, was on a hunting trip, just never felt the need to poop. We are driving home from the campsite and have to pull into a rest stop. Basically filled the toilet, it was immense. I have spinal stenosis. Basically my vertebrae are thickening and pressing against my spinal cord in my upper neck and lower spine. It causes numbness in my extremities and I have to do special stretches to help relieve the pressure. But man, sometimes I'll sit for a little bit too long and it's like my feet don't exist. I'll try to walk, but it's like walking on stumps. Back to the stretches, and within 10 minutes the feeling returns. I used to do 100-mile bicycle rides. Now I'm lucky if I can walk 3 blocks without tripping and falling. I get sharp intense pains on the left bottom side of my ribs randomly. I just suck in air and hope my rib didn't puncture my lung. Sometimes it's when I'm working out, but sometimes I'm literally just standing there and whoops, popped a lung. I get ocular migraines sometimes. They are not terribly frequent, though maybe once in a while they'll be persistent for a week or so. It's a strange experience. No pain, no headache, but an actual blind spot develops in my vision that appears sort of like a lightning bolt. It hovers there for about 20 to 30 minutes then gradually subsides. I'll tend to feel a bit weird for maybe an hour or two afterward, but then back to normal. They seem to be triggered by a combination of poor sleep, dehydration, and, maybe, caffeine plus stress. Have had them off and on for about 10 years probably. Consulted with a couple doctors about it, and they've said it's probably nothing to be too worried about unless it starts happening more frequently/intensely. I have this weird condition that no doctor yet has been able to diagnose. It isn't life-threatening, just incredibly painful. It usually starts off with a pain in the jaw, and that pain slowly feels like it is spreading down to my heart. It always feels like you're on the verge of death when it happens, and I have found myself unable to move in some cases due to the pain. The only way to get rid of it is to just drink any cold beverage, and then the pain goes away faster than it came. Doctors don't know what it is, and looking up the symptoms only provides a single thread on MedHelp where people discuss how confused they are by the symptoms. We have confirmed that it isn't angina. Some people have surgeries and that fixes their problem, then other people will get the same surgery with no results. Edit. It might help to explain that I'm 23 and otherwise completely healthy. This issue first started when I was 17. I've had multiple appointments with doctors to try and figure out the issue, and none of them have any idea what it could be. If you read through the link I posted, only one person had a doctor that even entertained the idea of it being a nerve issue, so I find it really hard to believe it could be that. Some people have been diagnosed with certain rare conditions, but those conditions don't line up with what most people on the site are dealing with. I'm white and pale AF. Normally avoid sun exposure due to not tolerating heat well, and skin cancer running in the family. But earlier this summer I spent quite a bit of time in the desert. I got several shades darker, except for a bunch of random spots that are still white. They weren't covered, and had the same amount of sun exposure as the rest of me, but just no color change at all. Biggest spot is on my bicep, but there are random spots everywhere. I've always had a streak like that along my hairline. Hair also grows in white there too. That my mom said was a birthmark. I'm guessing these new spots have always been there too but never apparent, because I avoid sun exposure. I've mentioned this in another sub, but I have bipolar disorder, and one aspect of this, and many other disorders, is intrusive thoughts. So I'll just be chillin' living my life, feeling fine, and my brain will be like, I want to kill myself, I wish I were dead, I can't do this anymore. And I'll just be like, huh, okay, and then go back to what I was doing. That and random repetitive questions. My brain asked me what is your greatest strength multiple times a day for about 2 weeks lol. I have Alice in Wonderland syndrome. It's a real thing, honest. Basically, sometimes my brain makes me think that I'm swelling up, like I'm being inflated like a balloon. And I feel all big, like I'm getting too big for the room. That normally happens when I'm starting to feel sleepy. Occasionally I'll go the opposite way and feel as if I'm being squashed down from above, like a giant hand is pressing me down into the road and everything is towering above me. I can normally ground myself by feeling myself and reassuring my brain that I'm normal sized if it's a big balloon feeling, or by staring up at the sky then slowly adjusting to the horizon for a few moments if it's a squashed small feeling. I have sensitive skin, and 10 years ago my skin decided to not like water. The itching after showering was awful, but using lots of tricks I found on the internet I'm down to 25 minutes of misery after I shower, which I do only once a week for 12 minutes. I wash my hair in the sink every 3 days, my face, neck, girl bits, and feet every day, and my hands all the time, none of which bothers me. I can't swim either, which makes me a little sad. I randomly get serious stomach cramps and have to go to the bathroom or else I faint. Sometimes the pain is too much and I end up fainting on the toilet. The feeling of passing out is terrifying to me. Once I regained consciousness and found myself sitting on the toilet and throwing up on my pajamas while having seizure-like spasms. Last time, around 3 days ago, it took me like 5 minutes to get my fingers and toes to move again. They were stiff, and I had no control over them. Not fun. Okay, this probably sounds like bullshit, and it probably is some weird mental shit I'm doing to myself, but whenever I touch my forehead or my back, or something else applies pressure, it feels like I'm getting tickled. This only happens when I'm not thinking about anything else. For example, trying to sleep, and it's like if you had a headache, but it tickled your fucking brain. There was a period as a kid where I stayed up all night because of it, but thankfully it's mostly stopped. During the winter months, I think I snapped the nerves or something in my fingers by repetitive action at work. I wake up with my fingers fused down. They seem to heal themselves because it goes away. Feels like a little electric shock when it happens. I hock up hard, dark, phlegm daily. I hate this, it makes me gag, but has been happening for as long as I can remember. Nothing worse than having it stuck in my throat and nowhere private to go and get rid of it. Thanks for watching. In comments, write about similar facts and situations from your life. If you enjoy this video, watch other on my channel, and have a nice day.